Hi, my name's Carlee, and this is my final project. I chose the Gregory Mountain products and backpacks. So their main purpose was the exploration is about the spirit and drive to make your life what you want. Our mission is to build packs you trust to take you there. So that was kind of their mission, and their main goal or what they're striving for in this space is to be very eco-friendly because their ambition is to reduce carbon footprint through global strategy, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, energy consumption, and waste. The problem, Gregory needs an exhibit experience that displays and showcases their packs and reveals the technology behind the packs. Also displays the newest products, tells and shows their story through the booth. So another thing they really wanted was to tell their story throughout the space and emphasize their new products, which is Zulu and Jade. The free float suspension is the ultimate combination of dynamic fit, lightweight features, and streamlined silhouettes for an incredibly balanced carry, ventilated backpacking, and hiking. So that was kind of like a little rundown of their newest products. The mission for this project was to create a 30 by 40 exhibit booth for the 2019 Summer Outdoor Retailer Show, and also keep in mind a 10 by 20 inline, which I didn't create, but it said keep that in mind. With the ability to make into a 10 by 20 inline using mostly recycled, refurbished materials. So that was their main goal, have interactive pack elements and stations, one large conference room and 4 smaller seating areas, a larger reception area and a grand entrance, and then an after show event component. Also having the adaptability of products and displays throughout the booth. I'm looking at a piece of paper right now. So their vision I broke down into think, feel, do. So we want them to think that this backpack is going to satisfy their adventures. It's a reliable bag that they can buy for their adventures or their explorations. We want them to feel exhilarated and motivated to go out and find adventure once they have these backpacks. And then the do is buy the bag, use it for their explorations, take it everywhere they want to go, tell their friends, and start a trend with the Gregory backpack. My theme I chose is keep the adventure alive, and the reason why adventure is in bold is because I'll show you in the next couple slides one of my renders. So I don't know if you remember at Exhibitor Live, not Exhibitor Live, it was the other outdoor retail show that we went in Denver. There was a Life is Good booth, and where they're selling the bike, and they had this wall that you could kind of put your inspiration on the wall on like a little post-it note and stick it to the wall, and then whoever they liked the most would win a bike. So I kind of went off of that experience almost, or not really experience, but like interaction. So you'll see in the render, but just keep this in mind. Keep the adventure alive. So adventure is kind of a placeholder and can be brought out in other words such as keep the dream alive, keep the love alive, and so on. Joy, friendship, laughter, courage, creation, wealth, and the list can keep going on and on with whatever people want to fill in the blank with. But the main theme is keep the adventure alive because that's what we're trying to do in this space. For the design style, this is one that I really did a lot of research with, and this design style that I came up with was prefab modern smokehouse. So prefabrication, I did a lot of research with modular homes. So basically modular homes are when they build the home in a different setting or manufacturer building, and then they bring it to that space instead of bringing all the materials to one location, such as like different kinds of materials such as like steel, and I have a list right here. So concrete, steel, aluminum, plastic, these are just some recyclable, refurbished materials that I used in my space. A lot of it I used steel, aluminum, and cork, and glass. So the modular home system is a cheaper, inexpensive way to build your home. I know you can't get very creative, but with this space I did kind of go out of that like boundary box of creativity with the modular home. So the modern smokehouse, like this background picture, I'm sure when you go on an adventure or you're going camping or hiking or something, a lot of times if you spend the night, you'll build a campfire, and that's what made me think of smokehouse, like grilling food and just having that smell of like grilled food. I don't know. Like that's where I came up with the smokehouse, and also the smell of like burning wood and the crackling fire. But when you think of smokehouse, you probably think of like an old rundown shack or a tiny little rundown shack, and that's not what I wanted. That's why I added modern. And in these next inspirational pictures, this is what I meant by modern, is the one all the way to the right was adding that white element to make it more modern looking and not so like shack smokehouse vibe. The middle picture was my main inspiration, and this kind of structure is what intrigued me because I knew I wanted to incorporate their logo as the triangle, but I didn't want to have it be so like straight on to the logo. I wanted to have a subtle vision of the logo. And then the picture all the way on the left, I really like the black and like the stained orangey wood tones. That makes me think of the smokehouse and the crackling fire. So moving on, this was like my main sketch or sketches that I did. So as you can see, there's a lot of like jumble mess on the right side. That was me trying to figure out how exactly I wanted the structure or the top of the structure to be. And then the one on the left is the top view, kind of like bubble mapping out which parts I want where. I really looked at every single part of their RFP and really broke it down and made sure I hit everything. So I have a large meeting room you can see on the very top right, and that is going into a closet. And then moving on is 4 seating areas and different kinds of displays you'll see, and the large reception counter right smack in the front with the grand entrance that you'll see. So, I gotta find this. This is kind of a mess. So the persona, I created a persona. His name is Will and he's 26. So 26-year-old William is a freelance travel, adventure, and lifestyle photographer. Will's background growing up in the great outdoors has shaped his creative style. An accomplished explorer with a worn passport and a passion for life, Will's images can be characterized by his desire to travel and photograph the true, beautiful moments. So this is the #1 target audience that Gregory will be looking for throughout the space. Some kind of travel, it doesn't have to be photographer, but I know a lot of people that travel like to take photography, and I'm sure that photography is another key point with the backpacks, being able to carry the backpacks, being able to carry the cameras in the backpacks safely and securely. So that was another reason. And I know a lot of people aren't as young. They might have full-time jobs, but maybe they have they have like the ambition to go adventure, and that would be the secondary audience, but the primary audience is will. So now getting into the renders, I'm just kind of going to talk about this as I go. So this is when you walk in from the left side, and the structure is 15 feet tall, and because there's a 20-foot height restriction, so I kept that in mind. I'm sure you can tell that I pulled this kind of from the inspiration pictures. This next render is the very front view. So I did what they said about the grand entrance with the large reception desk, and I went with once again the kind of rustic smokehouse look of the wood on the top, and I wanted their logo to stand out. That's why it's very big. Their primary logo is very big and their secondary logo is small on the reception counter. And I kept in mind their red branding colors. So right when you walk up to the reception counter, there'll be someone to greet you and kind of give you more information about what Gregory or who Gregory is. And also you'll notice on your right side that the theme Keep the Adventure Alive, so that's kind of like the main theme of the booth, and it's just like a fun element to have in the booth is to have like a giant quote in the meeting area. And you could probably tell that, so the larger area that's scaled up that almost looks like a house is glassed in. Is that what it's called? I don't know. Enclosed in with glass. So that would be the large meeting space. And then this next view is when you're walking kind of in the space past the reception desk. You'll notice that on the right side there are smaller meeting areas, and this just has like 2 stools and a countertop, and then split off because in the RFP it said semi-private, so that's why I incorporated the panels with graphics. Also, right in front of you, you'll notice the display area of backpacks. Okay, with these renders, I had such a hard time getting the backpacks to put materials on them. Like, it wouldn't have materials on them. They just came in black and it would just render out black. So I'm sorry about that, but so all the black blobs are backpacks. So on the display areas, they wanted to have just an interactive station so people can really pick up the backpacks, get a feel for what's inside and like what pockets they have and all the different areas of the backpack, and they can also try it on. This next render is so this is behind the first 2 displays. So now you're looking back into the large conference area, and they wanted a rotating display area for the backpacks, and that's exactly what this campfire setting is. The campfire is going back to the smokehouse vibe, and it's almost like a rotisserie. That's what I was trying to go for with the rotating pole with the backpacks. And another feature that I couldn't really show but I want to explain is the fire is actually, I want it to be, you know, those kind of, the flames would be made out of almost thin paper or thin fabric, and then air would blow on the underside of the rocks and kind of like flip the paper around so it looks like the fire is actually real without having real fire in the space, because that would probably be dangerous. Also, you probably noticed the pine trees. These were really hard to get across, but I'm sure you know they're pine trees. That goes along with the smokehouse vibe. And then Right next to the rotating display area is a giant LED touchscreen that would show their blog, which has a lot of stories that they tell about the backpacks and like how to use the backpacks and what settings or locations that you would go or which places you can hike to. That's what's kind of on their blog. And I know they wanted to tell their stories, so I thought this would be a good resemblance of that. And you notice behind the monitor or the LED screen is the beverage station. They wanted this outside of the space, but I thought that it would be too crammed in one area with the reception desk. That's why I kind of brought it into this space. And this has like the red branding elements from the logo, and I just had like a coffee station, so that that kind of goes along with the smokehouse outdoorsy style. So now we're kind of exiting out of the space. This is the back view. This is the wall that I was talking about that I wanted to kind of go along with the Life is Good exhibit. Only instead of just writing inspirational things, the card would say, keep the blank alive, and people would write down what keeps them alive. So, for example, keep the dream alive, keep the joy alive, anything that they want to put on there. And then, so they'd get it at the reception desk and they'd bring it back behind the wall. That makes people go through the space and check out all the different displays and backpacks. And then they would pin their little postcard to the wall so that other people can see, and then that's a cool kind of photography moment or like an Instagram moment. You can kind of tell this side of the exhibit, which we'll get into. So this is the side view of the exhibit, and I put Will in here. That's our little persona guy. I put him in here so you can get a perspective of how big this exhibit is, and the reason why it's so large is because they wanted a grand entrance, and they're also right next to on the what is it called? I don't know what it's called. They're right next to like a 100 by 50 exhibit that also has backpacks, so I wanted them to also stand out even though their exhibit is only 30 by 40. And I used these steel panels that go along with the modular homes, and so a lot of it is just glass, wood, and then steel. And then also on the other side of the exhibit, I think I showed it in the next one, but I used corrugated metal. And on the reception counter, sorry I didn't talk about this, I like totally forgot, but I remember now. So on the reception counter, I used cork. So I'm really incorporating those eco-friendly moments. And then also another key element that they said they wanted was their branding all around the space. That's why I put a lot of their branding, the Gregory logo, and the colors throughout the space to really represent them. I wish I could get the colors of the backpacks on the backpacks because that really threw off everything, but you get what I'm going for. So this is the top view. I wasn't going to do this, but I'm like, you know what? Satchel said not to worry about budget, so we could rig this thing if we wanted to, but I cut out the logo actually in the roof so people can look up and notice that that's the Gregory logo, which I thought was really cool, and it also light can shine in so it's not so boxed out. They also said they wanted their exhibit to be kind of enclosed to not give away their products or like any secrets of their products, but you don't want the space to be too enclosed that people aren't intrigued to go inside, so you kind of want it to be open. That's why I kind of opened the top up and some of the sides. Also on that bottom side you can kind of see the waves of the corrugated metal. So that leads us into the after show. After you go through the exhibit, you get an invitation to a smokehouse grill. I wasn't able to find a smokehouse grill, but it would be somewhere in Denver. I'm sure they have a few of those, some really cool like barbecue grill or a smokehouse grill that the attendees or VIPs or whoever would be able to go to. So, yeah, that concludes my final presentation of this semester. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!